Frankie here at the ChampionSoccerAcademy.com, where we help young football mad players to boost their confidence, accelerate their skills and improve their attitude so they can be happy and successful on and off the pitch. So today's video is all about how to know what standards and levels of performance your son needs to be aiming for in every game and maybe even every training session across the whole season. Now, there's an old saying in football, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we know there's no way a player can be flat out, full throttle at the top of his game in every single match. And I've talked about how to play well consistently and reach higher levels of performance in another video. What we're going to talk about today is more about expectations, more about what you should be actually aiming for and what you should see as an acceptable level of performance. Now, that's going to sort of depend on a number of factors, but just to start off, I want to tell you a quick story that I tell quite often. It's about Jose Mourinho. When he was in his first spell as Chelsea boss, he was asked kind of one of those questions, what's the secret of your success, blah blah blah, and he turned around and said, look, he made an analogy about driving a car, and he says he always prefers a car which gets him from A to B. It doesn't have to be flash, it doesn't have to be grand, it just has to get him reliably every single day from where he wants to be, from where he is to where he wants to be. And he says he'd prefer that type of car over a Rolls Royce or another fancy car that breaks down every day. Now you can kind of get what he's getting at, because you know when it sort of went Pete Tong at Chelsea this season, you know, he started the season as Chelsea boss. He seemed to have some Rolls Royces there in the squad, but he's built his whole career on having reliable players who are good team players and just play well for him consistently. So some players have made a whole career out of this, you know, like Leon Britton just does the simple things well. I mean, you're talking about a player who has got incredible skills. You know, he went to the national school in Lilleshall. He was one of the most highly sought after players in the country as a youngster. He went to Arsenal, West Ham, before coming to Swansea. So we're not talking about a limited player in any way, but he has made a career, especially, you know, as he got more into his mid and late 20s and now his 30s, as Swansea became more and more successful, about playing just a simple game. He's known for looking after the ball. He's known for never giving it away, having a very high pass completion rate. He's known for defending well, winning the ball back and keeping things simple. And he's done that in the Premier League over a number of years now. Really sort of steadied the ship as he's come back into Swansea's team. You've got other players then like Roy Keane, who's a little bit further back. Been retired now for a few years, but for the younger boys, well worth going to have a look at Roy Keane's videos, because you'll notice that a lot of the things he did were just simple. He had a good touch, he was a good passer of the ball, very good tackler, ferocious tackler, a good leader, good communicator. He understood, you know, the principles of play. Wasn't you know, anything flash. Scored a couple of goals, so he could shoot, but he wasn't a prolific goal scorer, and he probably, in most people's estimation, reached the level of world class. You know, certainly in his influence on teams and his influence on you know, his team's ability to win at the top level, like the European Cup and so on. Even though he was banned for that game, he did get him there. So that's the importance of it. You can actually make a whole career out of being just good enough. Okay, you don't have to be world class in every area. You just have to be good enough, and that's basically, you know, the area we're going to look at. So from a parent's point of view, what I want to make clear is that, you know, sometimes you are like me. You want the best for the kids, and you demand high standards from them. Okay, and it can be frustrating to watch a player who's like on fire one day and looks like he's never played the game on another day. So what I want to talk about is how to have expectations on what level your son should be reaching. Now the first thing is, as a child, he's going to be inconsistent. He's going to have ups and downs. Okay, that's the nature of being a child. and we just need to have lower expectations. Okay, so there's no way any young player is going to be able to reach, his highest level in every single game. When I go back to my time at Swansea City, at academy level, pro academy level, where we used to play 4 20-minute games, 4 quarters, it was very rare for the whole team or even an individual player to play well in every quarter. If they played well in 3 quarters out of 4, they're doing exceptionally well. If they're playing well in 2 out of 3 quarters, then generally you're going to be happy, especially if they've implemented some of the things that they've been learning in training, which is what I always look for. And that brings us to a really important point. There are different phases of learning. So, if a player's been working a lot on his control and his passing, and he's been doing overtime again and again and again in lots of different ways, under good coaching, in a good environment, then, if he's playing at a level which is at the right level of challenge for him, then we can expect that his passing, should be good because he's put the time in. So, it's okay. I wouldn't encourage parents to put any pressure on for that, but certainly the coaches, it's their job to apply some pressure at some time to say, this is where you should now be at. But if he's learning an aspect of the game which is new to him, like overlapping runs or third man running, or if he's just starting to learn to communicate better and he's only just learning to remember to use people's names to call for the ball, then we can't expect him to be leading the team and giving complicated team talks. Which is so, these expectations need to be, pitched at the right level from a parent's point of view. From a player's point of view, one of the challenges is that, helping them understand that there is a whole aspect of the game that they don't necessarily see on Match of the Day watching the highlights. It's not all fast, furious, goals flying in. There's lots of different aspects to the game, and they can play so well just by doing some simple things well. On the other side of the coin, you might have a player who is nowhere near 7 out of 10 even on his best day, but just being able to get closer. If he's a 5 out of 10 now, getting up to 6 and close to 7, you can start to realise, hey, I can play, I can have an impact on the game. So that's a really important factor as well. So something else I want to point out is that if we're talking about good enough is good enough, alright, so what I mean by that is you only have to be good enough to win the game on any given day. So another old saying in football is you can only beat what's in front of you. You can only play the game that you've got in front of you. So on one particular day, 7 out of 10 may be good enough. On another day, say for example, if you're a lower league team playing against a higher league team, you're going to have to be at the very top of your game to be good enough. Okay, and then you can break down different areas. As we said, in some areas you're passing, we might be expecting that to be a 9 out of 10 because at your level you've now put the practice in, you've now got the ability. Now it's about making sure you perform. There may be other aspects of your performance where we don't have such high expectations. It might be about what position you play. So I'll give you an example. If you're a striker and you get 10 shots off and you get 5 on target and you score 2 goals out of that, then you're probably going to be pretty happy. If you can get 10 shots off in a game and score 2 goals, that's decent going. 5 shots on target. If you are a midfield player like Leon Britton and you have 10 passes and you only get 2 to the man they're supposed to be going to, then you're probably not going to be happy. If you're a defender and you let your man get past you 8 times out of 10, then you're probably not going to be happy. But again, it depends on what level you're at, what level of experience you're at compared to that defender. So there may be things that you've been working on, and even though as a defender you've got done a couple of times, you've got beaten a few times, you've improved certain aspects of your game, which is still making you a better player and going to give you a chance of moving forward and becoming a better player over time. So it's not as simple as 7 out of 10 is good enough, but overall 7 or 8 out of 10 is interesting. One of our graduates, Bailey Owen, he always aims for 8 out of 10. He's got exceptionally high standards and he's aiming right for the top. He's made that decision. I'm going to the top. I'm going to play at the highest level possible. So he's aiming for 8 out of 10 because he knows how competitive it is to get to the highest level. So it depends on your ambition as well. So that's it from me. Hopefully that's been useful. Send me an email, let me know if you've got any questions on what I've just covered, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.